Welcome, Walnut. I'm Lara, but you can call me Laz, your host for Walnut Wednesday. This is your reminder to be brave, be yourself, and know that you can make the world a better place just by what you decide today. Here, I'm going to share my weekly walnuttings with you on a Wednesday. Hello, Walnut. It is me, Laz, here for another episode of Walnut Wednesday. And this week I am so excited to have my beautiful, sexy, delicious friend Steph on the podcast. Steph Burchmore, welcome.
Hello. Thank you.
How are we feeling today?
Good. Had a nap, so good. Literally just had a nap.
Perfect. We were just
Sleep
talking
when the baby sleeps, still doing that a year later.
we were just talking about that offline about the importance of naps. Um, Walnut, Steph and I have been friends for donkey's years. We went to school together and everything, and now living in different countries, but still keep in touch. And the reason why I wanted to have Steph come and visit us was because of all of my condition-related questions that we've kind of just been chatting about offline, and Steph was more than happy to be an open book with me slash you. About all of the weird things that I have sort of been discovering through my condition. So, Steph, I'll just get you, if there is a walnut listening who hasn't met you before, can you just introduce yourself?
Yes. So I'm Steph. I don't really know, there's not really much about me, but I do, the main reason I'm here, I do have a 1-year-old, well, 14-month-old if we're gonna go carry on the months past the 1 year, but 1-year-old.
Thank you for being
And
realistic, by the way, as well. That's too much math for me. 14.
I know we just say 1 month and then we're like, then when he's, 18 months, we'll say 1.5. We're not doing the in-betweens. It's just too much.
Thank you.
Like, even Adam, when I was pregnant, was like, we're not going to do all that whole, like, he's 33 months, are we?
It's too
No,
much.
it's too
Thank you.
much.
Sorry.
Yes, no. So have a 1-year-old. And I feel like we've just gone through everything with him. Birth was shite. Um, I don't know, like it's such a roller coaster that I didn't ex like people try and explain it to you, but I also feel like people put a bit of a like try and keep you I don't want to scare you, but people try and be like positive so that not to make you feel like worried or anxious or anything. And so then you go into it with a false sense of security. And
Yeah.
so, like went into it and was like, oh, childbirth's just gonna be, I knew it's gonna be painful, but I was like, it's gonna be beautiful. Well, that was not true. But that's when people say like like I wanted a C-section. Like hands down wanted a C-section, did not want to push. Was like, no, not for me. And but over here, you're not I'm in Queensland. Um, you're not allowed to opt for a cesarean unless you're on private. You can only opt on private. You can't on public. And we ain't fancy enough for private, so we did public. And um and then I got over that because I came to terms with the fact that I'd have to have a natural birth. Natural, I don't know what we want to call it, but
Yeah.
out the bloody vagina.
Yeah.
And was like, okay, this is great. And then labor started like just after midnight Friday morning, so Thursday night, Friday morning. And I had him at 7:20 p.m. Sunday night via C-section. So I got my C-section, but I had to go through like 80 something hours of labor. It was just,
Did you say Friday to Sunday?
yeah,
Innocent.
yeah. Was not like full active labor. Like
Yeah.
that was my first contraction. Like I woke up and was like, oh, I've got like period cramps. So like Friday was bearable. Saturday, Adam went out to Kmart to get some stuff because he was like, oh, better get that done. Don't know when we'll get a chance. Like was all right. We were going out for walks. I was curb walking. I was trying to speed everything along. And then Saturday, oh no, that must have all been Friday. And then Saturday I amped up and I was on the couch most of the day.
Yeah.
And then Saturday night, I was like to Adam, go to bed, like, it's fine. I'm fine. I'm just watching Friends and bouncing on my yoga ball. I was like, just go to bed because you may as well get some sleep because let's be honest, you're not going to have much. So,
Yeah.
Go to bed. So he was like, all right, I'm gonna go to bed just for 2 hours. I think it was at like 7. And he was like, wake me up at 9. And oh, he's like, I'll set an alarm for 9. And I think he slept through it or something. I don't know, I can't remember. Or he was like, wake me up at 9. And it got to like 9 o'clock and I was like, oh, I'm still fine. Like I'm managing this myself. Like I am a powerhouse. In my head, this is what I still remember. And at midnight, I was like, I remember being like, oh, it's getting a bit much now. I might go run a bath. This is how I remember it. And so I was like, run in the bath, and then was just trying to work out how to get in. And Adam appears. So apparently that's not how it was. Adam's like, I woke up to you screaming.
You're like all calm and like relaxed in your head, like I'm running a bath.
How I remember it is that I was just bossing this shit on my own. Adam was like, I woke up to you screaming, and he came into the bathroom. He's like, you had one leg in and one leg out, and you were stood over the bath, and you couldn't move because of the pain. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, I do remember timing my contractions because I'd got to the point where you're not allowed. I don't know about in New Zealand, but in Oz, you're not allowed to go to the hospital until they're 2 to 3 minutes apart for an hour, and
So
then you can go in.
there's some form of math that I
Yeah.
must by that. My midwife told me that it's written down somewhere. Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll send you home.
Yeah.
And I was like, and we live 40 minutes from the hospital, so I was not doing that. And so I had the little app, like counting them all. And I do remember being like, okay, 3 minutes. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's been through 8 minutes. Oh, you've ruined my fucking time. And like getting mad because one would butcher it. And I do remember the minute it got to 3 minutes for an hour. Like, I think it was 3 minutes and like 3 seconds. So I was at the 3 seconds over and I was like, ring the midwife, we're going in. And I was just like distraught. Then in the car, I remember holding and just like onto the thing and screaming like every time I had a contraction. And
Like
then I was
like screaming like
like, like,
like
ah!
oh my God. It's like
And then we got to and I have a high pain threshold. So I was caught a bit off guard.
yeah.
And then we got to the hospital and I was like to Adam, just drop me off and go park the car and I'll make my way up to the ward because there's paperwork to fill out and stuff. And he was like, okay, all right. He just dumps me at the front door, goes to park the car. And I just remember being buckled over and you have to like ring the bell for the security guard to let you in because it was like 1, 2 in the morning. And so I rang the bell and he's like, how can I help? And I was like, I'm in labor.
Oh my God.
So I went in, and then I remember having a contraction out of the lifts on the maternity floor, and there was just a guy on reception. He was like, "Are you all right?" I was like, "Yep, 1 minute." And then like made my way, filled out my forms, got to the room, and then yeah, was laboring in there forever. And I'd said to them, also, this is my one piece of advice: don't be a hero. Do not be a hero. The pain meds are like the pain relief meds are there for a reason. In my head, I was like, I need to experience everything that is childbirth. Why? How I went from I want a C-section to I need to experience everything that is childbirth. And like I'd already been terrified because I was like, I'm gonna be a fourth degree tearer. I can tell you now. And I was telling everyone at work, I was like, have you heard of fourth degree tears? And everyone was like, Steph, please stop.
Is
Educate
that the
me.
one down to your butthole?
Yeah, into your butthole.
Oh,
Mm.
and they go
Down
in the
like
butt?
it can go in. And I was like, it's gonna be me. I just know I'm the kid that's gonna have one hole.
Yeah, it will all open up to one
Just
little crevice.
everything. And then it got to like 10 a.m. Sunday morning, and I was like, "Get me the epidural!" And the midwife was like to Adam, "Now she has in her plan that she doesn't want to use one, um, and she's threatened it a lot." And Adam's like, "Oh, I would go get it now."
Can I just say, can we just pause? I just like love Adam so much how you're like, go park the car, I'm fine. And he's just like, sweet babe, love you, will do. And
Even when I was laboring, when,
Angel.
when I was laboring, he was like, "I'm so tired," and this was like 9 a.m. So we'd been up since midnight, and I was like, just have a sleep on my bed, babe. I've got the midwife. She's with me. And so then I was like, he had like a half hour sleep. I've got a picture of me like this with my TENS machine on my back and Adam's asleep on my like birthing bed behind me at the
Oh,
hospital. And then I was in the water bath and I was like to Adam, Adam, I need you now. And he was like, oh, shit, and ran. But TENS machine was the only thing that helped the pain. I
nice.
tried everything down to the bloody. Have you heard about the comb? Holding a comb?
Yeah, I've got seen that lots on TikTok, the comb
Yeah.
thing.
I there is pictures of me gripping this comb for dear life. I don't know why I didn't do shit. But don't you best believe I'm still there holding my comb,
Yeah.
hoping that it might help. Um,
You got to try it. You got to see.
yeah. But
Um,
my main thing was that I wasn't dilating. And then when I got the epidural, they saw that his heart rate was crashing every time I had a contraction. His heart rate was dropping.
oh shit.
And then it got to like 2 o'clock and they're like, you're going in for a C-section. And then I finally got in at like 6:37. So it must have been 7. And the surgeon was like, can I check? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, you're 10 centimeters dilated now. Did you want to push? And I was like, well, whatever's safest. Like, don't bother me. And she was like, well, it's a complicated C-section, so I'd push if I were you. And
And you'd already epiduraled at this
I'd
point.
already epidural. I was completely numb because I was ready for a C-section, so I couldn't feel
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right. So I pushed, and I was obviously too focused on pushing, so I didn't kind of see everyone around the room. But the Adam and like one of the staff has told me after, so like she got everyone to step back, and I pushed, and then before I did my second push, she turned to one of the girls and was like, "Go and scrub in now," and got me to push again. And then Adam's like, the whole mood just changed in the room. And then she was like, it's a category 1 emergency. And then the screen just went up in front of me. Within like max 5 minutes, like I'd say probably 3 minutes, he was out of my stomach. Like he was completely out. But he was taken off to the side. He was on oxygen. Like I didn't get to see him. And then he got taken off to NICU. Oh man, I've only just stopped getting teary telling this story.
Yeah.
He got taken off to NICU and they were like, Adam, do you want to come? And Adam obviously looked at me, being like, well, what do you need? And I was like, go with him because in my head, I was like, if a medical decision is to be made for him, I want Adam to make it. I don't want a doctor to make it. So Adam went with him. And then this part is a little bit funny.
Okay.
But I didn't realize. So you get that if you have an epidural, you can get the epidural shakes and you're like shivering and you're like so cold. And I was like shaking. And I didn't have that the whole time up until surgery. And I was just shaking. And one of my friends had it too. And before Adam had left, I was like, something doesn't feel right. Like my chest doesn't feel right. It feels really tight. And I was getting really like worried something was wrong. And I was like, oh no, I think I'm gonna be sick. And I was like, can I get a sick bag? And Adam was like, she never throws up, but just grab a one in case. And I was like, thanks, Dal. And then
Cracks me up, man. He's so funny.
and so the nurse had a bag, and then Adam left, and then the nurse had to help. And so then this bag's next to me, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna be sick. Now I understand the need for the screen. I thought the screen was to stop me being able to see. Was to stop me it's to stop you throwing up inside your incision. So I like turned to aim for the bag and then I just went and all this like just bile, but it ricocheted off the screen. So then it's on me, right? So I've got vomit on me. I'm shaking from the shakes. And then I was so tired because in 3 days I'd slept for 45 minutes that I was like, my eyes were just dropping whilst they were stitching me up. But I watch like way too many like procedural things. Like I love Chicago Fire and
Mhm.
Criminal Minds is like my all-time favorite show. And I was like, don't shut your eyes. You might not be tired. You might be dying.
Oh.
So I'm wide-eyed, shaking, coming to
Oh my God.
Adam's gone because I'd sent him off with Spencer. And that was fun. And then I went into recovery and then like I went up to the room and Adam went home and Spencer was in NICU. But the worst part, there's just so many things that medical staff don't even mean to, but you like when people talk about like mum guilt, You get it from day one.
Yeah.
Like he was in NICU and they were like, do you want to go down and see him? So like I saw him at 8:30 at night. And then I went to bed. And then I woke up in the morning and they were like, oh, did you want to go down and see him? And I had expressed colostrum, so they didn't need me to go down for feed because I had all these syringes of colostrum.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
They were
need to talk to you
giving
about that as well. Yeah. We'll come
me.
back to
Um, and so I didn't need to go down. And so I woke up and they were like, do you want to go down and see him? And I was like, oh, I want to wait until Adam gets here because it'll be the first time. Because I said, do I get to hold him? And they're like, yeah, you can hold him now because I didn't get to hold him before. And I was like, oh, I want to do it together. Like, I don't want to do it on my own. And then it got to like 9 o'clock and they're like, did you want to go down and see him? And I was like, oh, I'm just waiting for my husband. And then it got to like 10. They're like, do you want to go down and see him? I was like, I'm just waiting for my husband. Didn't tell them the reason that Adam was running late was because he was waiting for the grocery store to open because I was craving prosciutto.
It's like important because you're not allowed it for that long. Like
Yeah. And
periods.
so he was getting me my packet of prosciutto.
Yeah. Bless his heart. He's a good man.
And
He's a
and I
bloody
was
good man, Steph.
I didn't mean like to be late and really wait for the shops to open to get this prosciutto. The prosciutto could have waited, but that's okay. He was focused.
Yeah.
And yeah, and they just kept asking me and were like, do you not want to go see him? And I'm like, no, I do. I just want to do it with my husband as a family, like holding our child for the first time. It's something we're meant to do together. Like it's not meant to be me on my own doing it. So even that, like I got made to feel guilty that like, how can you not want to go see him?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, do I not love this child? And I remember speaking to my midwife and she was like, you do. And she's like, but you haven't bonded. You've only just met each other. And I just remember her saying that to me, and I was like, okay. She was like, look at it that way. You two have just met each other. You've got to get to know each other. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, she was cute, my midwife. Anyway, that was a very long introduction, clearly. But yeah. And I realized that after I'd said to you that I like felt like I'd lost my identity. When you asked me to introduce myself, I just said I'm a mum. So really I'm guilty of losing my own identity for myself.
bless your little heart. And we got the birth story at the same
And you
time.
got the birth story. There you go. There's the birth story. And it was shit. And if we ever had a second, which if you ask Adam, we're one and done. Which
Oh,
I was all about one and done until we had one. And now I'm like, oh, I could have a second.
isn't it funny? And you forget, like, apparently you just forget that all the trauma. Well, you don't forget the
Yeah.
trauma. Obviously, you've just relived it and told us about it, but like it's different in your brain. So you're like, I would,
I would go straight to a C-section though. I wouldn't. So I can opt once I've had one.
yes.
So I would not even bother trying with childbirth.
Okay.
I'd sack that off. And
I am of the mind that I want to try and raw dog. Like I'm like you, be in that little
you
we
don't.
were a bit delusional. I'm like, I'm gonna try raw dog. Like I just the epidural
I
freaks me
just thought,
out more
there
than
was the beauty of childbirth. And then I was like, why? When I had the epidural, I was like, this is the best thing I've ever had. I'm eating chocolate, I'm watching Friends, and I can't feel a thing.
interesting. I just for me, it's not about the how much it's gonna hurt or whatever or the uncomfortableness or the beauty of childbirth. I definitely don't think it sounds beautiful to me. But I just the sound of an epidural and how big the needle is and all the things just freaks me out more than any of the other stuff.
Yeah, see, I didn't see the needle or anything, and I only learned afterwards that it's actually a tube in your back. I thought it was
And it
just an
stays
injection.
in there too.
Yeah,
Oh,
it actually doesn't hurt, and they do it. But if you decide you want one, don't leave it too late to ask.
yeah.
Because if you're too far
Yeah.
dilated, like I was just lucky that I wasn't dilated enough, um, they won't do it.
Yeah. So there
I
will
think
be a point of no return.
there
So
is.
yeah, anyway, I'm prepping myself for that. But
Have you been
look,
doing the perineal massage?
I'll make okay, so this is walnut overshare, as you know that I like to do. But obviously I'm the size of a planet now, so it's much harder to do. But I
So
remember
hard. I couldn't get the
first
angles.
the first time I tried it, I remember saying to one of my friends, I was like, because nothing has gone on down there for some time, right? So I was like, oh, I didn't. think of anything. I didn't research, so I just tried like with the ye old little index finger.
Yeah, no, you gotta get your thumb and like push.
Well, I learned that later, but I tried with the finger just to like I don't know what I was doing. I was just ex going for an explore, and I was like, have I turned into a virgin again? Because this hurts. Like
Yeah.
this little finger, and it only went in like to the nub, like hurt. And I was like, oh my God, if this finger hurts and I have to push out like a pumpkin. What is gonna what is going on anyway? So I talked to my friend and she goes, try the thumb and try the massage and the transfer. Anyway, so I've been trying the thumb thing. The thumb thing works, but man, I
I
was
still don't know if I was doing it right though, because it's not like you can ask someone to show you.
no, you can't. And there's all these contraptions you can buy. I mean, but I can't bloody reach anyway. So yeah, I'm at the point now where I'm all weird angles in the shower and I just do a little bit at a time and
Yeah, it's the
look,
weirdest
it's
thing.
just whatever. It's just
Like
whatever.
I used to do it and then do my like before or after do my expressing my colostrum. And I'd walk out, Adam's like, "You finished fingering and molesting yourself?" And I'm like, "Yep, I have actually, Adam. Thank you."
But yeah, that is the sounds like the combo that Geordie and I have. But mine is like, all right, I'm gonna be a bit longer because I'm gonna try milk myself.
Yeah. Yeah, and so even that, I mean, like I struggled with breastfeeding, and I should feel like apparently it's not associated, but I feel like the early warning sign should have been there when I tried to get colostrum, and it would take me like half an hour to get point 0.1 of a mil. And my
I,
friend that was pregnant at the same time was getting like 5 mil in 10 minutes.
I think that's the hard thing, right? Because especially like with breastfeeding, because everyone seems to be very pro breastfeeding, especially when your baby's born and stuff at the hospital. But it's so what's the word, individual to you, and like
Mm,
it's hard not to compare yourself to people's mills and all the things in general from what I can kind of
ridiculous.
see. But I am struggling with this milking myself thing, Steph. There's not a lot going on. I'm also incredibly impatient. So
One time I sat there for 3 hours to get
uh,
1 mil.
I'm not doing that. I literally just like squish. I
I think
only
you're meant to. I think it's like unhealthy to do it for that long. It's just committed to the cause. I'm pretty sure my midwife said do not exceed 30 minutes. And I was like, I don't think there's really like a medical reason, surely. She just doesn't want me to.
I can't even get to thirty minutes though. So Walnut, um, it is encouraged to collect colostrum because they call it, Air Bunny quotes, liquid gold for when your vampire is born. It can have all of sorts of immune. Steph, can you just step in if I'm, because I don't really retain
Oh, you're
information.
right. Like it's just the creme de la creme of breast milk. It's the best breast milk they'll ever have. It's got all the nutrients, all the vitamins, all the, I don't know, everything.
And
Everything
it's
good is in that stuff.
yeah, and perfect for when like when your boy was in NICU too, because it's got all of the goodies in there, so
Yeah.
it's good for things like that. And I also was reading that even like when they have eye infections and things later on, because you freeze it, walnut as well, um, that it can be used for things like that, and or with, when they catch a cold when they're a bit older and things like that. Hey,
Yes, and breast milk as well. Um, I used the last of mine not to feed him because he didn't like it by the time because I'd stopped doing it, but we'd put it in his bath. It's
oh
really
yeah.
good for their skin.
Nice.
So
And your
yeah,
skin too, probably. But yeah, so there's all sorts of things about it, Walnut, but I have been encouraged, and I hadn't started doing it because I didn't want to like go into labor early because I just went on a trip up to Auckland. So I didn't want to, test anything. But so now I'm back home and trying to do it. And I just yeah, I'm so impatient. I wouldn't even last trying to do it for 30 minutes. I hate standing in the shower that long. I don't want to sit down because it's too hard to get back up. I just don't know how to do it.
I just used to sit on the bed watching like Coronation Street
and then just like massage your boob
and just yeah, like
and sweat.
squeeze from the outside in kind of it's weird. I can still squeeze breast milk out and I haven't breastfed for nearly a year.
That is wild to me.
Yeah. I literally showed Adam the other day. I was like, Adam, look. And it's just this little ball of breast milk on my nip and he was like, that's gross. I was like,
Yeah, I the first time I tried it, which was before the trip because I was like, oh, I'm curious. There was like this tiniest little thing, and then I freaked out and turned the shower off and got out. I was like, okay, I'm not ready. But now that I am
Move it.
ready, now
Move
that
it.
it's like missing, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I don't know. What would your advice be for that, Steph? Just keep going, or I don't
Yeah,
know.
power through. But do it just sitting on the couch with Geordie watching telly. If you need something to distract you so you're not. You meant to all be like in the shower and it's all warm and in the mood, but that didn't work for me. And so like I used to just do it, just sit there doing it while watching telly because then it just kind of like in the bed I was in the bedroom, but like it just took my mind like off it. And then I
Yeah,
started getting competitive with myself and I was like, nah, mate, we got 500,000 yesterday. We can do more today.
yeah.
And
We're
then,
going. We're going, sister. We're going right now.
but I
Yeah.
think I did it for 4 weeks and I got like 14 mil all up,
Okay.
which in reality is nothing. Whereas like I said, one of my mates, she was pregnant at the same time, she was eating like 5 mil a time. So that shows how little I was getting. Like,
Yeah,
and but they kept saying to me every little bit counts, and I was like, all right. And so it would just build up, and then yeah, it came up to like 14 mil, which was handy for NICU. But then the downside was because he was had the but like had the milk, the colostrum from when he was in NICU. I was like, oh, I can catch up on sleep, or I can do this. Because otherwise, because he had jaundice, so he had to be fed every 2 hours. And but they had colostrums, but I probably should have still been pumping every 2 hours to bring my milk in better.
oh, right. Did they? I
No.
would have thought that they would have maybe suggested or advised that. No. You're
And
on
the
your own.
last night before we let or I let me and Spence left, he hadn't slept. He had screamed for like from like midnight. I think it was like 5 a.m. I was in tears. And I was buzzing the midwives or the nurses and being like, hey, like I don't know what to do. And they're like, he's cueing that he's hungry, like he was like sucking or something. I don't know. And I was like, he's not hungry. Like I fed him so much. And then I was like, so much, and he's just vomiting it up now. He's so full. And they were like, just okay, we'll express. And I was like, okay. And so then I just remember sitting there expressing, trying to rock the bassinet, trying to express with the pump with one hand, just in tears. And the girl in the bed next to me was like, you're doing a really good job. And I was like, thank you. And
Wow.
then the team leader came running in and was like, you need to sleep, like stop expressing. We're gonna take him for a couple hours and see if we can settle him. I was like, okay. So they took him. I did wake up like a couple hours later and he was next to me fast asleep. But they'd come in and been like, how do you feel about a dummy? And I said, oh, he got given one in NICU because they just get given them anyway. So he actually has one there. Like I'm fine for him to have a dummy. And they're like, we think he's just someone that likes to suck. And I was like, oh, okay. And so then it was being mistaken. Well, the team leader was like, the girls are mistaking it for like he's hungry, but we think he just likes to comfort suck. And they gave him a dummy and he passed out. And he just wanted to suck. And I've got a scan photo of him sucking his thumb and he still sucks his thumb now.
Oh,
So he does just suck for comfort.
yeah.
And but yeah, I remember that. That was like brutal. And the girl next to me, she was struggling with breastfeeding and I remember being horrified because they always say like fed is best. And I was always like, oh bullshit. You all say that, but let's be honest, you feel like you get judged if you don't breastfeed.
Yeah.
And the girl next to me was struggling and she was like, can I get some formula? She had to sign so many forms to for them to give her the formula. And I was
Yeah.
like, so it's not fed as best. Like, because she's just had to sign a million waivers and stuff.
Breastfed is best.
Yeah, for you to give her formula. And then like I breastfed Spence until this was my main reason for coming on, wasn't it? Talking about breastfeeding. I breastfed Spence for when he was 7 weeks. I gave him his first bottle of formula. Because it got to the point that he was crying, I was crying during the feeding. Um, and I had loved it was a really weird, I remember saying to you, it was a really weird feeling because I loved so much about it and I loved the closeness and the cuddles and um we're just feeding him, and then he would just fall asleep on the boob, and I would sit there for hours while he slept in my arms, just loving that moment.
Mm.
Um, but when I look back on it, like I remember that, and I was like to Adam, oh, I really miss the breastfeeding cuddles. He's like, they weren't breastfeeding cuddles, Steph. They were newborn cuddles. He just got out of the newborn stage around the time you were kind of fully stopped breastfeeding. I was like, oh, okay. And then I look back at it and I'm like, oh, I do remember other feelings though that you kind of put to the side because you're like, you want to remember the nice stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember because he had to be fed every 2 hours and he took like an hour to feed, and it's 2 hours from the start of the last feed. So sometimes he'd take an hour, sometimes about an hour and a half because I had low supply. And so I would get half an hour to an hour before I had to feed him again and
Mm.
start the whole thing again. And I
Mm.
remember like I'd finish feeding and I would pass him to Adam because I would just be so exhausted. Like unless he'd fallen asleep, but if he was awake, I'd pass him to Adam. And then I'd watch Adam like playing with them. And I was like, I'm missing out on like you get to play with him and you get to have fun with him. And I just feed him.
You're just the milk truck that's
Yeah.
be and like
I haven't showered and like just I feel gross. I'm not getting to even enjoy my child. I'm enjoying the cuddles, but like I'm not getting to enjoy him. Um, so it's really weird loving something so much but hating it at the same time. And by the end of it, I'd be in tears, and I went to a lactation consultant through the government.
yeah.
And the lady was like to me, "Do you need more friends?" I was like, I don't think that's why I can't breastfeed. But I mean, okay, if you want to sign me up to a mum's group, go for it. Which was the best thing that actually ever happened because now I've got this great group of girls. But the um she was like, "Oh, I'll book you an appointment with the professional lactation consultant because she's just like who you first see. Um, and it'll be in about 3 weeks' time." I was like, he'll be on formula by then. Like I can't do this for another 3 weeks. Like I'll be suffering from postnatal depression if I do. I do credit moving from breastfeeding to formula as what stopped me going into postnatal depression. And I think breastfeeding would have caused me to go into it. Because I couldn't give him, and I'll have to send you a couple photos, but I've got a picture where he was being solely breastfed and then a week on formula, and he's gone from this tiny little stick arms to this like chubby little baby. And I was like, oh my God, I was starving him.
Oh,
And so it was like, and then it was just weird going. And then like I loved that I went on to formula, and I loved it now, or he's now coming off it, but I loved it once he was properly on it. But I hated having to put him on it. And so it was just such a weird emotional like thing that shouldn't be. It was just like Adam was like, I don't get it. Like, you're not enjoying it. He's not enjoying it anymore. What's the problem? Just put him onto formula.
and do you
And
think it was because of that like conditioning from society of like that breastfeeding is the best and
yeah,
you're not a failure, but like formula, like is it because of that that you
I
feel?
think so. Like, even when I would express breast milk and feed him a bottle of breast milk, I felt like if I was doing it in public, I needed to be like, it's breast milk. I
Yeah.
promise. I'm not giving him formula.
Yeah, so it's like that outside like comparison-y, judgment-y things that
Yeah.
in our heads, but yeah.
And whether that was the case or not, like whether people were judging or not, but it's just like you just get it drummed into you that fed is best. And then as soon as you have them, you're like, oh yeah, let's be honest, we all know what you actually want.
Yeah.
I'm meant to breastfeed this baby. And yeah, it was just weird. And I remember the first night I moved him to formula, I happened to look at the baby monitor, and he just I can't even explain. It was like something out of a horror movie. Just this, like the cartoon river of vomit, like
Yeah.
cartoon kind of thing. It was just that. He was like 6 weeks old, and he just went, and it was just this river of vomit. And I sprinted in, grabbed him, bawled my eyes out, sat on the feeding chair, and just held him crying. And Adam came in and was like, you can have 10 minutes of feeling sorry for yourself.
Oh,
And then he does have to go back to bed because he's really tired.
oh,
And
I he's so great. He's so great.
I
We
was
love.
like, okay. And so then after 10 minutes, he was like, are we gonna put him back to bed? I was like, yeah. But I
Sweet.
just like, even that I felt guilty because I was like, that's my fault. Like the formula has made you do
Yeah.
it. And then we moved him on to goat's milk formula because I was like, it must be cow's milk. And we're paying a stupid amount for this goat's milk formula. And then we spoke to our doctor, like at his, I think they have an 8-week checkup, maybe. I don't know. We spoke to our doctor, and she was like, "Don't put him on goat's milk formula." And I was like, "But he was power chucked off the cow's milk." She's like, "Because he's never had it before. It was fresh to his stomach." She was like, "Just he'll be fine. Take him off goat's milk and put him back on cow." So we took him off, and he's been fine.
Oh,
But it's like you get feel so pressured to like, and like you kind of put pressure on yourself.
yeah.
Like I put even pressure on myself to net now. I started like looking at like what toxins are in shampoo that I put in his hair. Why?
Yeah.
Our parents didn't, and I turned out fine. We survived the Johnson and Johnson, you know? Like, why does it matter? I'm sat there like, and so then there's this app you can scan the barcode and it tells you a score out of 100 how safe it is. And so I'm like, got to get this one. It's 100 out of 100. Just wash his hair.
There's so much stuff. There's so much stuff. But Steph, you're not the first woman I have spoken to about this relief that comes from um deciding to switch to formula, like on the toll it takes on yourself and the baby. And I would love to like come back to where you mentioned that you could feel yourself kind of like you would have potentially gotten postnatal depression. Is that
Mm,
from being just exhausted and putting all that pressure on yourself?
yeah.
Or like, yeah,
I'd say so. I'd say that your hormones anyway are completely fried.
yeah,
Um, your sleep's fried. And then you're trying to do your best and you feel like your best isn't good enough. And then I wasn't making enough milk, which, society tells me that as a woman, I should make enough milk and be able to breastfeed my child. I was having to roll a towel up because my boobs are huge. I was having to roll a towel up
which
under my boob and like to lift it so that he could get to it. Apparently, the reason he was having trouble latching was because my nipples are too flat. I was like, sorry, I have flat nipples. And so it was just all this stuff that I was like when I went to the lactation consultant, she was like, your nipples are too flat. Will you say that to a hormonal postnatal mother of less than 2 months old baby? So it's my fault.
yeah,
Like
because of how you made the child.
I'm wrong. And so now I can't feed my child. And also, like, you see people when they're like out, like I joked about it with my cousin. We were like out, I breastfed him twice in public because I can't just do, you'll probably experience this. I can't do what people do where they just delicately lift up their top, pop it down, and pop the baby on because it's just like a boulder out on the table. And so it's like, we did it one time at a restaurant because he needed feeding, and Adam held up a Muslim wrap in front of me like a changing room so that I
Oh,
could fully get my boob out.
block her
And
on out.
we were
Yeah.
in like the back corner of the like beer garden. And so there wasn't many people around, but he put this like thing around me so that I could get everything out, get my towel under, get another Muslim wrap over me and get my dignity sorted so I could then just sit and feed my child. And then like another time I did it and I was Adam had ducked off. We were out for a walk and he just ran into like the shops quickly. And I was sat on a bench outside with Spence and he started losing his mind. I was like, I'm gonna have to feed him like in public and I'm not ready for this. And then I had a Muslim wrap and I was trying to cover my boob. Anyway, the Muslim wrap fell, my tits out, a school trip. walks past of like 40 kids. And I was like, now I'm gonna get done for indecent exposure. Fabulous. That's the end of this. This nice walk along the beach.
Gosh.
But it was just like, I don't know, I remember one time me and Adam got frustrated at each other about something and it will happen like I remember like 2 days in and Adam was putting the bins out and Spencer was screaming and I didn't know what to do and I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm putting the bins out and I was like, that's not important right now because I was like, help me.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
though he's incredible and he'd helped me so much, but I was just like, you just can't help it. You're like, I need help. And one time I'd got frustrated. I can't remember what about. And when I went out with Spence to run to the shops or something, and so it couldn't have been a big deal. I think it was just something so minor. And I remember just bawling my eyes out in the car. Not about that, just about everything. And I pulled over and I sent Adam a text and was like, I'm really sorry that like I got so frustrated about something so stupid. I've just completely lost who I am. I was like, I'm not Steph anymore. I'm just a mum. I'm not me. And then that was when I was like, okay, so I was like, I need to change because that's when I realized that I was on the verge of maybe postnatal depression.
Yeah.
And obviously not having a kid before, I didn't know what postnatal depression looked like. I still don't. So
Yeah.
someone with postnatal depression might be like, oh, girl, you were so far from postnatal depression. Like, because you still don't know, but everyone probably has their own version of it.
Yeah.
And to me, that was like kind of the lowest I had felt that I was like, this isn't normally who I am. And so yeah, that was hard.
I'm just so proud of you for like saying that to Adam though at the same time, like that would have taken a lot for you to be able to just like be like, first of all, I'm sorry, I'm fucking snapping and it's because I feel a bit like messed up right now,
Oh,
and
and I said to him, I was like, I have to text this to you. I can't say it to your face because if I say it to your face, I'm just going to cry and no words will come out and then
yeah.
it's not going to get anyone anywhere. So
So
I need
good
to,
on you for doing because that like lots of people couldn't express
yeah.
that, you know what I mean? So and that's how spirals do start and the big snowball effect and all the things. So yeah, good on you.
One thing we both, mainly me, but like one thing that I definitely started doing once I got to that point to stop myself getting any further was every time I was feeling, and I actually said it to a friend, I was like, I highly recommend it, was when I stop, like anytime I start feeling down or something, like if Adam's like, he said it to me the other week, he was like, are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm feeling really down. And he was like, why? I was like, no idea. I'm just having a really down day. And I just now make sure that I tell him.
Mm,
Like I'm just like, hey, today's just a really down, like I'm just feeling really down. Or if Spencer's been sick, because he's always sick, I'm like, oh, I'm just feeling really anxious about Spencer today.
yeah.
And we just found that that worked, that we didn't need to go into a big D&M about it. I didn't need anyone to fix anything. Everything's fine. I'm just having a day where I'm feeling in a funk.
Yeah. And the people that you love to know where you're at
Yeah.
if you need something more or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I just think that's really important just to like let people know.
Yeah.
But yeah. What other questions do you have?
Oh God, I'm like, oh my God, I'm just so intrigued by
I know, I
all.
don't even know how long we've been chatting. That's why I'm like, what other questions do you have? Because I've
I know.
just been talking.
Oh, it's been so great. And like obviously I just don't know what to expect or what to go through. So I am at the point now where I'm really enjoying hearing the stories and hearing the advice of
Although mine have all been like on the flip side, it is actually super fun. There are so many good days. And like even right now, I mean, I can hear him currently crying in the kitchen
oh,
because
okay.
yeah, he'll even I think he's probably crying because he slept through lunch. But um
Can relate. No.
yeah, we've all been there. Um, but even like the first time they say like mama or dada, and I remember the first time, obviously his eyes were open from birth, but I remember the first time that I noticed that he looked at me and he actually saw me.
hmm
And I was like, Dad, he sees me. He really sees me. And I was like, it was the weirdest feeling because he had just realized that you're not a blur anymore. There's actually a person there. And like every time I miss something from the previous stage, something so awesome in the next stage happens. So like I miss newborn cuddles. Like so when I come over at Christmas, you best believe I'm gonna come and steal some newborn cuddles.
Yes, of course.
Newborn cuddles are the best, and the hardest thing about the newborn stage is when you're in it, when you're in the depths of it, you're like, oh, come on, I just got to get through this. Once you're out of it, you're like, oh, I wish, because it's such a short period of time that they're newborn. I didn't realize. I thought they were just kind of babies for ages.
Yeah,
I feel like even by the time we went to England and he was 3 months old, he was no longer a newborn. Like
a
he was
baby.
a baby. And I was like, the newborn stage was so short that if I had a second, I would take a bit more time to just sit in that moment
Yeah,
and just and not try and please other people, not be like, we need to come visit this person because they need to see Spencer, or we need to do this, or not worry about the stresses of that I felt with breastfeeding, or not worry about anything. Just sit with these newborn cuddles and just soak it all in.
yeah.
Like it was, and I did so much skin to skin, like I mainly because breastfeeding every couple of hours, I was like, there's no point putting a bra back on. So I'd regularly just be walking around our house in undies, the big Kmart undies, mind you. And for the first week, I was walking around in disposable nappies. Beautiful.
Glowing, gorgeous. No, I just replenished my giant undie stash for that precise moment.
I don't think I ever used. I don't think I ever really used maternity pads. I think I ended up really embracing how incredible it was just putting on a disposable nappy.
I I'm of that mind. I just because I'm already lazy
It was,
and
was
I
so
just
good.
who's gonna fuck around with like I already so anyway,
And
I
they're on.
I have my disposable adult diapers. I've accepted that because
They're more comfortable than pads, I tell you now. I literally like was in them at the hospital, and I was definitely in them at home until the bleeding like got less, and then I think I just used a normal like period pad. I never used the big maternity pads because they're huge. I bought some and I was like, these are massive. And then I just never used them, and I just lived in disposable diapers.
yeah. I mean, I was saying to my friend, I was like, yeah, I feel bad for the environment, but I just, I gotta do what I gotta do. I'm gonna be so tired. I'm already so tired. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Nah, they were. But then, like, I use a pad anyway for my periods. So pads are still bad for the environment. So I wasn't adding any more into the environment than I was. And I'd saved the environment for 9 months with no period.
this is true.
So you
So
best believe I was having that time.
it balanced out. I did buy maternity pads because I couldn't find the diapers because I wanted to wear something to the concert in case I weed myself. So I do have a pack of them, but yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
just
people don't tell you about just the weirdest shit with pregnancy, hey?
there's
How cool's the movement, though?
yeah, it's really nice. I feel like that's quite special. It's yeah, and my favorite was a bit earlier on when it was just a secret between me and the baby. Like now it's like
Yeah,
it's I'm up to the alien phase where like the skin is
yeah,
moving,
yeah. Yeah.
everything.
When you can just feel it and you're like, oh, my
And you're
little
like,
friend.
was that a like yeah, that those little moments were kind of nice to me, but I haven't really people keep always asking me, are you excited? Are you excited? Are you enjoying and all the things? I don't really have those kinds of emotions. I'm kind of just going through it. Like
Yeah,
it's fine. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
But the little secret when it was just me and the baby movements, though that was one of the times where I was like actually got excited. Because I was
yeah.
like, oh, it's just our little thing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nah,
Um,
it is cool. Have you had people like just uninvitedly come up and just touch your bump?
No, not as much as I anticipated. Some older people do that they're allowed to do that, and it's been people that I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, like because I know you're a bit older, so I don't mind. But it's more for me the things that people think they can just say to
Yeah.
you in the condition, and probably I anticipate it will happen when you actually have the baby too, like just even just dumbass comments like, "Oh, just wait."
Oh, it's like
But
people when
like,
they say, get all the sleep you can now because you won't be sleeping once the baby's here. That's not helpful.
yeah, and
My
like,
sleep now isn't going to help me in 2 weeks' time, is it?
Yeah, it's there's just all sorts of strange things. And what I've noticed as well is like things stick to me. Like I'm much more sensitive to commentary about things that
Yeah.
I never really have been before. And it's made me reflect on things I've said, like, because I've got a lot of friends that have had kids young, and then the stuff that's come out of my mouth, I'm like, oh my God, I have so much respect for you. And I'm so sorry for like just how much I
I
didn't know.
100%, and it's the same with when they're born. I when I looked back at the newborn stage, and like I was really lucky because I had someone going through it at the same time. Like our kids were a week apart, and she
Oh,
became my whole village because we were up at the same time in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. messaging, and we had each other. Even though we live in separate states, we still like had each other.
yeah.
And we were both saying like in the newborn stage, I never checked in on like friends before I had a kid that were in the newborn stage because I went, I'll leave them to it. They're just, let them enjoy their time as a family and then and once you're in it, you realize how much just someone reaching out going, hey, how are you? Makes a huge difference. And so I
Mm.
sit there and go, oh my God, I'm so sorry to all my friends that had kids before me.
Oh, I was visiting a friend with her newborn. Like I think it was the first time I'd met him or whatever, and I was like, look, I don't have those like cues to know that you need me to do stuff. So like if you want me to do the dishes, I will do them, but I need you to ask. Like, because
Yeah,
I'm not gonna intuitively think to just help you like in that way.
yeah.
And now that I'm this far along where I was making muffins today and I got a sore arm. So I literally need to ask people to do stuff and I just don't want to ask I just want stuff to be done for me. And I'm like, "Oh my God, I've just been so ignorant this whole fucking time." Like,
You get more like, as well, you get this fire in your belly once you have a kid, which I didn't expect. That, like, I just don't take bullshit anymore. Like, I'm like, I don't care. I've got too many other things to think about and worry about now. And there's things that people will say that you're like, you let it go, but you're like,
no.
it drives you insane. And like, I remember someone was staying with us and they took Spence to the park for an hour. And they were like, oh, was it nice that we, were able to get him at the house for you so you could have some time to yourself to clean? I was like, yeah, cleaning. Oh, so you can have a break and get some cleaning done? I was like, cleaning's not a break. I would rather be at the park playing with my son.
And you clean.
If you clean my house, I would much rather that.
What the fuck?
So
Did
it's like, and you just get feistier. Like you just don't, you, I don't know. You just get this fire in your belly that you didn't have before. It makes you stronger. Makes you so much stronger. It's like incredible what these little humans do to you.
I'm looking forward to that. With going back to that where you were talking with Adam about like the identity thing, do you think you've kind of come not full circle because I mean it's still a journey and like we are talking about offline,
Mm.
like the hormonal journey is still you've still got a way to go. But would you say you're kind of on top of that a little bit? Because that's one thing I'm actually quite fearful of is like I don't
Yeah.
want to be I don't want to be like the person that's like, oh, are you bringing your kids? Like I don't want to
Yeah,
be like
yeah.
that's my whole life, even though obviously my kid will be, but um, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah. We one piece of advice we got given was you don't fit into their life, they fit into yours.
mm,
And we have, within reason, obviously,
mm,
firmly done that. Like, we're not going to a club till 2 in the morning and taking a newborn with us, but like, we will take him to, like, we go to everything, like events and stuff that like we've been invited to. We go to, um, we do a lot and we just take him with us and he just fits in. We don't sit there and go, oh, oh, but he has a nap at like 1. We're like, that's fine. If he's tired, he can nap. We can nap in the car or we can. The only thing we've ever been sacred on is his bedtime, just for our own sanity.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but I think that's helped. We still go out and do stuff. Um, I've started doing more like going out and with like girlfriends and stuff again, so that's helped. I did go out with one girlfriend then got absolutely written off one night. And
How was
Didn't
that?
didn't well, then I had anxiety for like 3 days later and I felt guilty and I was like, I'm a terrible mum and it was bad. But the night was great. But I get really bad anxiety and it's now apparently amplified. But even with like I've done that like got that drunk once. But the anxiety that came with it all, I was like, this is not worth it anymore. Like I just can't do it anymore. And I had to take him to daycare the next morning because Adam was in the office. Luckily, Adam's mum was here because I don't think I would have been able to drive. So I got her to drive. And then I felt awful because I was like, I couldn't even drive my own son to daycare because I wanted one night out to be myself. And the night was different because obviously me and Adam got together when we were, and you'll be similar with Geordie, we got together when we were like
Spring chickens.
19, 20.
Yeah.
And before that, if I went out drinking, I always had Joshy with me. And so I could get as written off as I wanted because I always had a guy there looking out for me, making sure we got home okay, like making sure everything was okay. I always had Adam with me, like me and Adam, because we got the same group of friends. We always went out together and we always did everything together. And so he was there. And so then when I got really drunk the other weekend and had to get myself home and was in a taxi and I offered this couple a ride home, I was like, get a taxi. And come on, the more the merrier. And I just had this overwhelming anxiety that I was like, I've never had, like now I'm having to learn if I do go out to do it, one, more maturely and more like an adult, but differently because Adam's not there anymore. I don't have my security blanket to make sure I get home okay. I have to look out for myself now and
Mm,
my own safety. And there's now a little human that it affects if something happens to me. And that whole having to change that mindset was like a real eye-opener that night out. Because I
yeah.
was like, oh, I can't just be careless. I don't have Adam here. I have a son that needs me. Like I can't just be a reckless, I mean, Jesus Christ, I'm 34. I probably shouldn't be anyway. But beside the point.
But it's
Like,
almost like this growth. It's almost like a new evolution of
yeah,
yourself. It's not you've lost yourself. It's like I've morphed into this.
yeah. Like next time I go out, probably don't do all the quick fuck shots with everyone because that was a dumb idea.
Oh
But
yeah.
it was actually just me and one girlfriend, and it was the funnest night. But it was just the sense of vulnerability as well that I was like, oh my God, like I was very drunk getting into a taxi and I didn't have Adam there or Joshy there or someone there that I was like, I've now got to actually be safe.
Yeah.
Like I've now got to look out for myself because I'm not used to that because I've always just, me and especially when we moved to Melbourne, me and Adam then had all the same friends because we made friends kind of as couples with couples, or one of us would meet someone and then introduce them and everything. So I always just had pretty much 99% of the time I went out, him with me.
Mm,
And now because only one of us, like, unless we get a babysitter, but it feels like it's, some you do it and you do, we have had a couple nights when like our parents have been here and they've looked after him, or got a friend who has come and look after him. But it feels like such an effort now to organize all of that that like instead I'll go out with a girlfriend. Adam will go to a concert with a guy, like one of his mates or something. And then it's like a special occasion we'll both go out together. Otherwise, we do a lot of stuff in the day. Like we'll go out for lunches and everything. And we take Spencer with us.
mm.
Um, but yeah, it's just I feel like I think you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head. I feel like where I thought I'd lost myself, it's now that I've just evolved into someone else.
Yeah. And sometimes, sometimes I had this kind of like crisis when I was like in my late 20s, kind of like giving up this like version of this youth party girl self that I like once had. But you know what I mean? Like I
Mm.
think it's quite normal to like
Yeah.
those things, and there's nothing wrong with changing, but it's still you. It's just a new
And there is
version.
also nothing wrong, even I should tell myself this, with one night Spencer was home with Adam. He was safe. There is nothing wrong with also going out and just having a blowout and having fun with the girls and dancing on the dance floor.
I think they're very essential. I think blowouts are very essential to the human wellness, welfare. of
Yeah.
anyone. Um, just not all the time. Like we can't handle them. I've got to be prepared for like a 5-day hangover now, but like I think
Yeah.
they're very essential.
And they do seem not very worthwhile, the hangover, because now when you're hungover, you still have to get woken up at like we're lucky Spencer sleeps well, but he still to me it's early because I'm not a morning person. He'll still wake up at like 7:30 and you can't be hungover because he also then wants to play and you've got to do everything and you're like there's no time to sit and feel sorry for yourself. You can't have, and like life's just so different now because obviously when he's awake, we're playing with him and we're doing stuff with him. So when he's asleep, if I'm hungover, it's not that I means I can nap on the couch. I've got to like get up and
Okay.
like hoover and shower and get shit done. Adam goes out and does the groceries. Like it's all systems go once he's asleep to get stuff done. So yeah,
I
it's a
love
wild
that.
ride, but it is very fun and it is cool and there is so many positives and I like now I said to Adam the other day, I said I couldn't picture it feels like he's always been a part of our life. Feels like he's just always been there now. It doesn't feel, I don't know, it feels like he was just what we always needed and didn't realize we needed, and he's always been there and now he's here and it's kind of all just fits in. Don't get me wrong, he shits me sideways sometimes.
Of course.
I tell him
Absolutely. All
no,
things we love do
and
that.
he grins at you and does it anyway. And like the other day, Adam turned to him and was like, Spencer. And he was like, Dada. Highly entertaining for me, not for Adam, who was
So
trying to tell him off.
I
But
love it. And I love the teamwork that you both have as well. Like it feels like a really delicious, stable, loving like bubble that you've created. Not bubble because you're not stuck in it, but that you've created this lovely little
I think as well,
connection.
own your strengths. Like from what I can tell from your Instagram, Geordie loves to cook, right?
He just like cooks with love. I
So
wouldn't say like he loves to cook, but like he just like he loves to cook with love.
Adam loves cooking, and so it's become his form of kind of time out.
Yeah.
So he and we kind of just naturally fell into this pattern, but like I'll play with Spence, Adam will do like, and I'll do Spence's dinner while Adam's cooking our dinner. And then Adam will go and bath him whilst I tidy up and get Spencer's bottle ready. And then I'll do bedtime whilst Adam finishes our dinner, put Spencer to bed, and then we eat. And it kind of all just flows. But it's because, like, for example, like Adam wants to do the cooking
Yeah.
and loves doing it. So it's like, well, you do it. And like I'm happy to feed Spencer his dinner and we do try and like all eat at the same time. We're trying to do that, but it's very hard because he still can't shovel food onto a spoon. So like I'm sitting there like trying to feed him, feed me. He also decides, one day he loves blueberries, next day he's spitting them out at you. It's just, it's a wild ride. But definitely it takes teamwork and just playing your strengths. Like if there's something you love doing, like Adam does Spencer's bath time because I get a lot of bonding time with him and it's their time to bond.
That's
And
nice.
so he does bath time and he cooks our dinner. And that's his two things that he does in the evening. And then I do all the other Spencer stuff and then we kind of both sit down at like 7 o'clock and we're like, we survived the day.
Yeah. How
I
was
mean,
your
Spencer's a
day,
daycare
darling?
dude, but huh?
How was your day? Tell me about your day
Yeah.
now.
I know you sit there sometimes and you're like, oh yeah, how was your day at work? You're like, I haven't even spoken to you. We've just been like on a mission.
Oh, I like it though. I like the camaraderie that you like have going on. I think it just feels very like homely and
Mm.
family-ish. You know what I mean?
Adam
Um,
definitely grounds me because I get very anxious. Like even when Spence was born, you'll laugh at this. Because I'd had the C-section and like I'd pick Spence up and I'd lay on the hospital bed and those beds are deep. And I'd lay on the bed and I'd feed him. And then I'd be like, how they've told me I can't use my abs and he's in my arms. How the fuck do I get him back into there? And so I'd be like shuffling, and his little head would be going. And then Adam came, we kept calling him Turtleneck because he had this really long neck and he'd
Oh,
be like a little nodding dog. And and I would like Adam came in one time and I started crying and he's like, what? And I was like, what if I shook his head too much and he's got brain damage?
oh. I mean,
And
we
it's
we
just
all
little
think
things like
that.
that. Yeah.
We all think those things, and that's why we all need an Adam.
Yeah.
You know?
And when you, one thing my midwife said to me to remember, when you are so exhausted and you're in tears because you're just so tired and you think that it's just ridiculous you're crying about being so tired, she said to the, and it always sticks with me, she said, Steph, there's a reason that they use sleep deprivation as a form of torture.
Well, that
And
I
as soon as she said it, I was like, I felt validated. Like
yeah,
I was like, yes, this is used as a form of torture. That means it's okay to hate it.
yeah, yeah. And I go a bit loopy Jane when I don't have good sleeps,
We
especially
did
now that I'm
shifts
older.
as well with Spencer, which may or may not have contributed towards um like maybe my milk supply, but I still am glad we did it. But it was something I actually learned from Holly from Geordie Shore.
Oh,
She did
she's
it.
good on Instagram. I like to follow her now that we're a bit older. Like grew up,
Yeah,
you know? Yeah.
she did shifts with her partner. So Adam would sleep. We had to do them smaller because I was breastfeeding, and she was formula feeding, so they could do it like more of a shift. But I used to stay up with Spencer. I could have slept, but he would fall asleep on the boob, and I just loved holding him and looking at him and watching Friends. So I would stay up until 5 a.m. with him, and then I would feed him at 5, put him down, and I would express. So then there was a bottle, and I would wake Adam and be like, "Hey," because he had to be fed every 2 hours. I'll be like, "Hey, tag, you're it." And so then Adam would get up at 5, and I would go sleep from 5 till 9 because he would have been fed at 5, and then he had a bottle for 7, and then I wasn't needed again until 9. So I knew every day I was getting a 4 hour block of sleep. Whereas like Holly, because she was formula feeding, I think they used to tag each other. They'd go to bed at like 10 and tag each other at like 3 a.m. or 3 a.m. and then switch so they could get sleep. But yeah, we used to do that, which made a huge difference.
Geordie and I were talking about doing that because we
Yeah.
heard at our those class thingies, and we thought it wasn't actually a bad idea, especially when he starts going back to work, um,
Yeah.
like the shift work. So yeah, we're definitely
It was
thinking of
good because I knew there were times when it would be like 3 o'clock and I would be like, and I could have slept because what we did, the other thing we did was we bought a travel bassinet
Mhm.
that we put in the lounge. And so that we could put him down if we were like eating dinner and he was just right there and stuff. And so it got him one used to sleeping around noise, but the we had the travel bassinet and we would move it like I probably could have gone into the spare room, put him down, gone to bed and stuff, but I actually liked that time with him. But Adam used to even feed him like when I'd finished feeding him at 5, if he was asleep, Adam would put him in the travel bassinet and then just sleep on the couch. So he'd still get to keep sleeping. And then he would set an alarm and wake up at 6. But having a bassinet and kind of each of us in a separate room meant if he woke, it didn't interrupt the other one.
Yeah, nice.
And so that worked quite well. And it was just like, I don't know, I think it was like $120 for the travel bassinet.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, no, there we go, that'll do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I love
And
that.
like, they're not meant to sleep in them permanently, but it wasn't his evening sleeps or anything. It was like, well, at that age, let's be honest, they're not even really, they have no routine.
Yeah.
Like, they have zero routine.
Yeah. Eat, sleep, poo, do it all
Repeat.
again. Yeah, repeat.
Yeah, I used to hate people saying sleep when the baby sleeps. That used to be my piece of advice that I used to hate people saying. I
Yeah.
literally said to my cousin the other day, and I was like, because his partner's just had a baby, and he was like, they're both asleep. I went, oh, she's nailing the sleep when the baby sleeps. And I was like, I hated people saying that to me because people would be like, Steph, you just sleep when the baby sleeps. I'm like, yeah, cool. And then when am I meant to shower? And when am I meant to eat? And when am I meant to just get 10 minutes to myself? I
And
don't
that,
want to
but
just
they
sleep
talk about it
in.
like Bible. They talk about it like, if there's one piece of advice, it's just sleep. Who the hell is going to be doing that? I'm sorry, but what?
And like when he was asleep, I just loved being able to just then be like, oh, can just chill. I didn't want to, I wanted to sleep because I was tired, but I actually just liked the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel
Yeah.
like, I'll be the same. Um, but Steph,
Yes.
token question that I ask all of my guests on the podcast. I feel like we could actually have like a 3 hour long podcast all about this. Like there's
Yeah, I
so
know we should. And especially because I can hear Spencer going and I better get back
much.
to him.
Yeah.
'Cause
Um,
Adam's meant to be working today. And I was like, you're going to have Spencer.
oh, thank you, Adam. We love you. Thank you so much. But so before we wrap up, I have a question I ask all of my guests, which is, what does being a walnut mean to you?
Do you know what? The first time I ever really thought about it was once when I bought the singlet
Oh yeah.
and I've
And you
still got my
climbed the
singlet
mountain.
and I climbed my mountain. And but for me it was actually like I'm very self-conscious about my weight. And the singlet was like I probably should have gone a size up. Clearly I was a bit optimistic. And it was a little bit snug. And it was just for me just not caring what people think. And just I wore it and I went out and I was like, if you're gonna judge me because my top's too tight, well then you're not reading the top because I'm a walnut. But
And I climbed a motherfucking
and
mountain.
I climbed the mountain. But I think, yeah, for me, it's just being brave to do what now as a mum, I think it was two different things. Before being a mum, for me, it was about like kicking ass on personal goals.
Mhm.
And for now, it's about being brave and standing up for what's right for my family and just honestly not caring, not trying to upset people, but not their feelings aren't my problem, my family is.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think that's what that is to me now, is now just being brave enough for because I'm a people pleaser. And so being a walnut for me is being brave enough to just not care about the people and just care about my people.
Oh, I love that, Steph. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Oh, I
thank
love that. That like hit me up the butthole. That was really good. Yeah, yum, delicious. If there is a walnut listening who's like, "Oh my God, I love this girl. I'm obsessed with her." Where can we snoop you on social medias?
On Instagram, although I might be private, look, you can still add me and I'll accept. I accept anyone. Um, So I really could just make it public. I had this thing in my head that once I had Spencer that I should make it private so that his face isn't on the internet. But I mean, whatever. Who really even is looking for my child? So, Steph Burchmore is me on my socials. Simple.
Chef's kiss. Steph's
Haven't
kiss.
even haven't tried to be creative. Haven't done first name, middle name because it's just my name.
Uh-huh. And your
I'm
name
just
is
not
so
that creative.
wonderful and beautiful. Thank you so much for, yeah, like I said, we might need to do a part 2 and 3 and 4
I
and
know,
5.
I feel like we could have. I
Yeah,
feel like
for
we didn't
5.
even cover much.
But we did, and like,
But we
thank you for all your help, and also just behind the scenes when we're not recording, like all of the questions and the photos, and like you've been such a like big help to me, through my condition and like what I'm kind of going through, just purely from sharing with your own, what you've gone through. So thanks so much for coming to Walnut Wednesday
That's all
to share
right.
that
Thanks for
publicly as
having
well.
me.
Um,
Yes, thanks for having me. Always
eh,
happy to help.
oh, you're just such
Although
fun.
then I do sometimes think when I'm telling some of my stuff, I'm like, I really need to say some of the positive stuff.
I think
Adam's like, Steph, say something positive. Like,
it's all important though. It's like, I'm a big believer in both of the things. Like you can't have rainbow without rain, right? So like it's important and sometimes we don't talk about the crappy
and I
stuff.
feel that's the thing. You always talk about people see the positive. I post happy pictures of
Yeah.
me and Spence. You know, they might just not know that 10 minutes before that photo, I was in tears because I put too odd shoes on or something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Exactly it. That's exactly the thing. And that's what I try to talk about a little bit more is like not that life is bad and horrible, but just there's other things than just what you see on Instagram
Because
and
my Instagram definitely makes it look like everything's hunky dory. Wait, my Instagram makes me look like I've got it all together when really I do not.
And we all know that we don't as well, and it's a thing, and that's also a whole other topic and a wild ride. But yeah, Steph, thank you so much for your time today. I so appreciate it, and I love you so much, and I'm so glad that we're still like in touch and friends and everything. You've just been an amazing person throughout my life. So thank you so
You
much.
have to mine. I love you. And I can't wait for baby snuggles and Lara snuggles.
I know it's gonna
Because
be
this
really
is the other thing you got to make. The other thing that I find hard is when people are like, "Oh, can I video call you? I want to see so I can see Spencer." I'm a human too. I'm here. I
you want to
exist.
see me.
I didn't just bring him into the world. I'm a person. So I also want Lara snuggles.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. They will be really nice. And Walnut, thank you for your time and for being here. And if you have any questions, obviously just reach out to myself or Steph, and we're both pretty open books as you would have guessed from this episode. So thanks for your time, Walnut, and I will talk to you next week. Steph, I love you. You're beautiful, you're sexy, and I'll talk to you really soon on the internet again anyway.
Okay, probably in like 5 minutes. Love you.
Love you. Bye.